This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
I try to live by the notion of short steps, long vision. A world of kind of humility, discipline, and my team's kind of willing to sprint when the distance is unknown. We aren't here to just spike awareness, but we're here to change mental behavior.
I would say it's been a busy couple months for my guest. And this is kind of the way it should be this time of year if you're in the golf biz. Pretty solid start to the season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very much so. It's exciting on multiple levels. Very much.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, would you describe it as the biggest event is the first event of the season?
Yeah, it is. I think that is where golf brands kind of wait and see what unleashes after. But even leading up to it, you talk about where golf is. Golf having a moment. Participation is up year on year. The cool thing about that is participation is being driven by people of color, women, juniors under the age of 18. Secondly, I think, this could be an entire conversation in of itself, but I think golf the sport is kind of fighting to maintain control. I mean, you have Liv and PGA kind of doing their thing over here, trying to kind of figure out what the tug of war is between kind of tradition and disruption and where should they find. But, while that plays out, golf is almost moving on without them. I mean, just look at the Creators Classic, the few of them that have happened. Just late last year, I think I heard a stat that more golf content was consumed on YouTube than all professional golf around the world. And so it's a cool time to be in golf right now.
See, I wondered if you were going to even go into Rory and Tiger's new jam, which we'll get to.
Yeah, no, I'd love to get to that.
Look, for when I think about this one, and Eric, let's just say that between the two of us and where we both live, we have the golf world covered, at least in the U.S. Like, you've got the East, I've got the West. Like, and I had no idea when I moved to San Diego that I would be like moving. I wouldn't even say it's the mecca of golf because I think you've got the gold medal here, but the silver medal. We've done work with Bob Fillion and Ricky Fowler at Puma Golf. We've got Callaway's out here as well. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I feel like everyone, a lot of them are here, which I did not know when I got here. But then you've got the Pinehurst, you've got Florida, like you've got that covered over there with everything that's going on. So I guess I'm a little curious when I think about other leagues right now. I think about the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. They're all trying to figure out a way to sort of stay current, stay young. They continue to evolve rules. And when I think about golf, it feels like a tricky arena, personally. Like, in some ways, you're at the intersection of innovation, performance, trust and tradition, right? Like, even when you talked about that, hey, the amount of golf content that's being consumed, it doesn't feel like that's a masses that's doing it. It's like, it's a love story. If you love golf, you're just sort of, that is your medicine. Like, you are blocking out everything and watching it. But you talk about the growth in the category. Well, that's different than tradition, right? You haven't really built trust with them yet. I remember working on Puma Golf. It wasn't performance. It was like, just get people. This is not a knock on Puma. This was the insight. If I could just hit one good shot in 4 hours, I am coming back. That maybe the innovation's helping me do that. But I remember, like, that was the gateway. Like, how do I get into the game and grow the game? And you said it, like, you're seeing some serious growth. is tradition what it used to be? Is it as you see? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think for me, the way that I look at it is I think everybody should have the opportunity to shape their own story and tradition in the game. The game is different than basketball. Basketball isn't having to worry about innovation of does the basketball jump to, does it bounce too hard? Unlike golf, where we're trying to argue whether or not, somebody hits it too far. The size of the basketball court isn't changing, but, we have real natural situations going on where land is locked. And so it's different, but that's where you start to see how cultures around the world are embracing what the future of golf should look like. I mean, here in the US, you have proliferation of short courses. You have proliferation with, Tiger's pop stroke. Take Korea. Korea is the leader in what is golf on a screen. I mean, over 11,000 screen golf locations just in the city of Seoul alone. And so I think there's a lot of good happening in golf from how it is showing up for those that want to have some level of relationship with the game. And my personal opinion is I do think golf is still missing, it's on the verge of missing its focal point. We think it's the majors, but the majors are only, every so often. They're now truncated in the first half of the year. Some have with Live, some have the best players in the world, some don't. I think you're really wrestling with golf in almost a bifurcation stress that it's never felt like before. You're not seeing that in the NFL as much as an example. You go and you watch the best players on the field. The NBA, I mean, sure, they navigating situations on playing time versus rest and what that fan experience looks like, 100%. I think golf is on a number of fronts. It's what I would say, how to maybe phrase this? Me personally, I think it's physically showing up how it should for the future of the game. And there are many different ways to participate in a game. But I wonder if the viewing experience and the digital experience of the game is showing up in the same way. And does it allow it to scale appropriately for the next 5 to 6 generations?
Yeah, interesting comment about the majors because that's sort of like what golf is today. But it feels very messy. Not bad, not bad, but it's kind of like, look, let's call us what we are. We're all just kind of going through this experiment called life, and you're like, I got to pick up my kids, and I got to like, oh, can I play tomorrow, or maybe I'll just go to the driving range, or your brain, you get like 12% of my brain, right? But golf, it felt like they were the duck. We're underneath the surface. The legs are moving, and one of the other things we haven't talked about, by the way, is the gambling side of this too. Like the amount of my friends that are like, "Oh, I'm in some fantasy pool now for golf."
Sure.
I feel like that's become a rocket ship too. No.
It has 100%. And I, where I sit on the spectrum, I'm not sure, but I embrace it. Rules are there to properly govern what's wrong, like make it black and white. What's right is white, what's wrong is wrong. But I am a proponent of showing up for the audience in a way that allows you to protect what you believe your purpose is, but while also adapting to how others want to enjoy what you have to offer. And so that's where it comes into the gambling side of it, the TGL side of it, what the on course versus digital viewing experience. I mean, we get back to big tech to the masters, but I mean, you want to talk about a master class in consumer experience. It's incredible. Like, there are so many things the game and other sports can learn from what that consumer experience looks like. You talked about TGL for a minute. I personally in year one, I don't care what the ratings were. I think it was great for the game. And I think they should keep trying. They should keep going because it sits in a window where golf really could use kind of a spark of relevance. If they allow the players to show up, because I'll speak to you as a fan. For me, I want to see what Tuesday afternoon on the back nine of a practice round between Shane Lowry and Billy Horschel really looks like when the cameras aren't on and they're swapping cash and they are talking some trash and they are like, that's what people know that these individuals are real life people, but you never get to see them be real life people. That's what I think TGL has the opportunity for. My personal opinion. TGL is not about quality of shots on a green. It's what the personalities really look like beyond the bright, shiny lights of, Sunday at a major.
Yeah, I know. I just saw it on TV. Maybe the last 100 days was in some restaurant and it was on. And TGL, guys, it's a tech-infused, team-based indoor golf league, but it's got some virtual and augmented reality stuff. TGL stands for Tech Golf League, and this is what we're talking about, Tiger and Rory's thing. Although I know Ricky Fowler's involved, I also know they've got some good. I don't know if they're investors. Like I know the Atlanta Falcons, are somehow involved.
Mr. Blank is an investor. Yep.
Right. So it feels like this is what it feels like to me. And I am not you, and I am like in the Kevin Bacon game. I am 4 degrees away. But as someone that's enjoys innovation, it sort of feels like in the beginning there was golf. And it stayed around for a really long time, like 18 holes. Like a hole is like 30 years. Who knows how long a hole is? And then at like the 13th, 14th hole, Top Golf showed up. And if you talk to those guys, they're like, well, we're not golf, but we're not golf. I think that's sort of like their thing. And it's been a good gateway in. And then Liv shows up, and then it was like a hornet's nest. It was like, wait a minute. And someone is actually trying to, I mean, it wasn't, I didn't deem it. I'm sure you have your own take. It didn't feel positive at first. It obviously is now. And it's opened up everyone's minds of like, wait a minute, what else can we do to innovate here? Right. What is your, so yeah, obviously your take on Liv. Like, what's your thoughts on Liv?
So this is where Golf Pride sits at a pretty special place, is because we touch more golfers around the world than any other brand, and it's not even close. And that's because every golf club has to have a golf grip on it. And I'll just give you the Masters as an example. I think our market share at the Masters for your swing grips, which are 13 out of the 14 clubs, I think we topped out about 91%, maybe 92% market share. And so you take Liv, you take TGL, we sit in an interesting spot because the vast majority of those players are playing our product as well. And so when it comes to our brand and Liv, we are here to service the players themselves. They are the ones that entrust us to kind of give them confidence in what they do. Eric, as a fan, wants to believe that there is pure intent on both sides. And so therefore my ask, and what I think is being framed as the problem state, is there room in golf for a higher degree of variety of formats? And my answer as a fan is yes, because I see the excitement of the Zurich, as an example, team competition, the old Accenture match play format that they used to have. I see the excitement of the 2028 Olympics now including a mixed event. And so it tells me, and then obviously with TGL, so it tells me that golfers and consumers of golf are yearning for alternative formats that really drive a deeper level of engagement and interest in the game. Let's just be clear. That's what we are all serving. we are serving future generations' interest in the game. That's why we are all here. That's how we all survive. Is that 5 years from now, more people need to have a relationship with the game tomorrow than they do today. And when it comes to the best and brightest in the world, which we all may mentally aspire to be, we know damn well physically there's not a shot in hell. Like these women and these men, they are good. And allowing them to show up in different formats, I personally think is a good thing. And so, do I have a firm opinion of like, oh, it's 54 holes, it's not 72, or oh, there's no cut. Okay, sure. Like we can get into the weeds of it. But I think on the surface, when I look at it as a fan, and I've been fortunate to play since I was a little kid, like I love the idea of reaching broader audiences with more ways to play the game that we all love.
So you've brought us to this is the Courageous Podcast, Eric. So what a surprise. Right. I can't get away not asking a courageous question. So I mean, you kind of have to say that in your role. No, like isn't like the whole goal to grow the game? And I also want to be here's where I need your help a little bit. If I think about who's listening to this show, I mean, if they love golf, they're here now. They see you and they love golf, they're here. And they're kind of like, they're not bunny slope. Like they love golf. Like they don't need, they should probably have you. Let's backtrack. You should probably let everyone know what you do and what is
sure.
and also what is live, because I'm sure we've lost people already. And then for the audience, where I want to go here, Eric, is I don't think you think of courageous when you think of tradition. I don't think people think of courage. So maybe we start with just give the 1 minute, pull the Eric Gibson string on who you are, what you do. Let's start there. Maybe then here's live. Give him live and where that came about. You're now my golf historian, by the way. And then 3, all right, courage and tradition. Help me out here, please.
Yeah. So welcome, everyone. For all the golf fans, yes, welcome. So my name is Eric Gibson. I have the pleasure of being the Chief Commercial Officer of Golf Pride. Golf Pride is the leading manufacturer of golf grips around the world. So we're 76 years old this year. We've had the pleasure of serving 6 generations thus far. And so, where we sit in our position, whether that be, selling to, the direct golfer themselves through a retailer, through a golf course, or, partnering with OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, your Titleist, your TaylorMade, et cetera. We serve all of these partners. And as you've heard already, we feel pretty confident that there's no other brand in golf that touches more golfers. And so let's just be clear that, you cannot play golf without holding on to a golf grip. And so it is one of the most fundamental aspects of building kind of your relationship with the game. When it comes to how the game is played, we touched on the many different on-course and off-course formats that have emerged over this last kind of decade and kind of the proliferation, whether it be kind of Topgolf. You use the word gateway. I love viewing Topgolf as a gateway. They showed up right at the right time for the game. And, what we've had now over the last few years is an alternative point of view on the game at the highest level, and that is the league in which they call LIV, LIV. And, if you can put aside for a second any of the discussion around source of the money, human rights concerns, etc., just like suspend that reality for a moment. Let's just have a golf conversation. They believe that golf has a higher degree of entertainment value at the professional level than, what is currently presented on, the PGA Tour, the like, etc. And so they created this league that's a 54 hole league that has a team component and an individual component.
Also, might I add that live is actually a Roman numeral for 54.
Yes. And so where we arrive in this moment is we arrive at, I'll go back to some language that I used. We arrive at a kind of a bifurcation moment where I think golf is yearning for the best players in the world to show up together to put their skills to the test. That's being done on multiple fronts right now. And I think if we aren't careful, Eric is a fan, if we aren't careful, it's going to continue to be at odds with all of this creator and YouTube content that's now starting to dominate the airwaves of golf. And I personally believe that it all can be used and harnessed together to really showcase the true value of golf in and of itself. That to me, the true value of golf is that a few things. A, you can play from when you stand up for the first time until they bury you 6 feet under. So it's beautiful. The depth of your relationship with the game is up to you. It's just like shooting hoops. You can just go out there and hit balls. You don't have to play an organized portion of the game. So it is a relationship builder. And so when you think about courage, for me, what I hope is happening in those conversations and the way that I look at courage is I think they're at a moment where brands are being faced that they have to make a bold decision. And that bold decision and that what they may perceive to be the most rewarding outcome is not come from a press release or a new product launch. They have to do right by what the consumer is asking for as them as a brand. And so they have to hold their opinions loosely. They have to exercise restraint. They have to stay firm on their purpose. But if you can't put on display your product in the way in which your consumer has a desire to engage with it, then I think you run the risk of being run over by someone who is able to do that. And I think that's where you're starting to see almost this tour and live discussion become white noise in favor of the more entertaining view, the creator's view. Are they as good? No. But are they engaging with golfers in a new way that hasn't been done before? Yes. And I think the numbers are showing that it's no longer a trend. It's a signal. A signal has been sent. And I think honestly, brands should never reach a point in their journey where they've been given a signal. They should have, I'll use the word courage again, or bravery. They should have these moments where they understand the precipice in which they are on. We certainly have faced that in our 76 years. And I think luckily we've been able to meet that moment appropriately over those few times. But yeah, I hope that that's helpful as we kind of continue and kind of build upon the discussion. I think that was a good, helpful kind of reframe back to the foundation of just where golf is at the moment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and again, I'm not working with any golf brands at the moment, but I could, and this might knock me right off of that for what I'm about to say, but I think we have the wrong idea of what innovation looks like or where the focus is, no, to me, innovation shouldn't be, and I know this is blasphemy, golf fans, wow, your driver allows you to hit the ball 8 yards further. I'm sorry. That doesn't feel like, let's brand the term, and I don't find that colossal innovation. And again, maybe that's the neophyte golfer in me. but I don't think that's really where one should be. I know we have to spend our time, and again, that's almost like I'm about to get thrown out of San Diego with a hook for suggesting that this shouldn't be innovation. But again, it's not, where you are. You're sitting pretty in the grip world. I mean, look, the real question. I'm trying to think about this through the lens of, let's use skiing as the metaphor, which is an odd way to go with golf, but like you're either a bunny slope golfer, you're a black diamond golfer. If you're a black diamond golfer, every acronym we've thrown your way today, you got like the names that you dropped. When we talk about performance, you're talking about Rory winning his final master here, right? But let's talk about the gateway. Let's talk about like the bunny slopes. Why I think golf is interesting to me in relations to brands. If you've never played, folks, usually you don't play because there's some semblance of fear that you're gonna suck, that you're not gonna be good at this thing, and you're in a foursome, and someone's waiting on the tee for you, and someone's in front of you, or there's all these things that you kind of do have to block out. And I don't know if I would use the word courage, but I would use the word grit. I would use the word mental metal, because if you have 18 holes to go and you hit a bad shot, this isn't about perfectionism. It's about like giving yourself grace and staying even and going on to the next. But I think when you think, could you imagine, Eric, if I said you running the brand, if you could give yourself the same grace that you would give when you hit it, you hit it, you're in the rough, dude. You're in the rough on this one. But we don't do that, and I don't know if we're giving ourselves the grace, or if our bosses are giving ourselves the grace. Like, we need to be flawless and perfect. That is the opposite of most of us in golf.
It is. And so how I like to think about that, and like, look, I'll go back to, the equipment manufacturers as an example, just 8 yards further. I do sit in an interesting position. They sit in an interesting position defined differently, because the rules of golf, when it comes to driver heads, shafts, etc., intentionally created an atmosphere where it allows very few kind of incremental innovation. So it's a tough world out there. But let me reframe. If I was king for a day, and I would be able to kind of walk in and sit and have, conversations with the leadership teams on something other than grips, I would share a story about Golf Pride. So we understand, again, that you have to hold on to a grip. And so therefore, we have a tremendous responsibility in understanding and meeting you where you are when it comes to confidence. So while we make golf grips, we have to focus on selling confidence. Because as Bobby Jones kind of once said, give me some wiggle room on the quote, but golf is more played in the 6 inches between your ears than it actually is in the kind of the physical muscles that you have walking the golf course. And if you are not confident holding on to a 45-inch driver, staring at a small white golf ball, and you're going to try to make a swing that's in the range of 85 to 105 miles an hour and try to hit that somewhere that's going to keep you from going in a lake or breaking somebody's window, you've got to have some degree of confidence. I don't know. I think I am at the cornerstone of confidence because I am what you're holding on to. I don't know how many other brands, especially other equipment brands, are thinking about what their role is in confidence, or said differently to the lens of how we may want to have this conversation. But how to better educate the golfer on, they don't have to be fearless, but we as equipment brands need to help them understand what we can do to help them decipher what they can fear less than what they do about the game itself. Whether that be the equipment that they're holding on to, or if you're one of the governing bodies or the PGA of America, how you can participate in a game without fear is the way that kind of I like to think about it from a brand perspective.
I mean, I love that, and I think it's a good lesson for all. And I'm sure if Bob Fillion or again, I know Bob's rolling out of there, but I knew if there was somebody in San Diego here that's in the golf space that's like, yeah, no shit, we're in confidence too. But I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that articulated in advertising. I mean, I'm just not seeing that coming off the brand. I'm seeing like the driver lets you hit 6 yards further or straighter, and I've always been market the creature of the brand, not the features of the brand. And the creature is confidence. I love where you're going on this. I will also say, or curious to get your take, and this doesn't serve your agenda at all, is pickleball the new golf? And hey, let's call it what it is. Pickleball rackets need grips too. In spirit of innovation, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying you're working on this, and if you are or if you're not, I'm happy to take 10% cut of this idea here. But like, I know you guys are passionate about golf, and you've been in that arena for 75, 76 years. Are you in other sports as well? Are you doing grips in tennis or pickleball?
Not right now. Not right now. I think, when you look at the arc of the brand, I think that'll be there. It'll be there for us at some point. If I told you that, let's just use a round number, like 50 million golfers, 1 in 5 have still never regripped a golf club. And so, I think our brand, if you look at the two spheres of the brand, if you look at the penetration of the brand from a market share standpoint, very, very large. If you look at the penetration of the brand in terms of its direct relationships with golfers because they've engaged in the category, it's actually very, very small. And so, there is still a significant amount of growth to be had in the game itself. But I think that there are similar parallels to brands that are finding themselves in such a direct connected space to how someone performs in a kind of stick and ball type sport. And so, is pickleball like, look, I do pickleball recreationally with my 12-year-old, during the summer. Like it's just fun. And I find it really interesting. I love sport related innovation. I think it's interesting to see if it finds its way into collegiate athletics to a higher degree. And so it for me, that sport is starting in an interesting position because it feels like they've created something that at the start can be played by all generations, all socioeconomic statuses. Whereas I think golf, just over the generations, like it's still ridding itself away from a middle-aged white males wealthy sport. And so there's a stigma that it's going to take generations of participation growth from women, juniors, people of color, lower socioeconomic statuses. Like it's going to take generations for it to kind of fully rid itself of the stigma in which kind of golf, was created.
Yeah. Last note on pickleball. I'm sure the last thing you want to be doing is talking about pickleball, but it does feel like 100 years from now, if textbooks survive, which is silly to even say, them describing pickleball is still like pretty funny to me. Like this wiffle ball with less running, like we'd be like, oh yeah, wait a minute. And I play, and I love to play, but I'm fairly certain that COVID was not started in Wuhan. It was even the pickleball people or the QR code people that started. I I can't tell who it was, and obviously asterisks anyone that's been affected by COVID. We're making a bad joke here, but yeah, it would be interesting to see like how does it grow. And you're spot on. Like let's call golf what it is today. It is still there's potential, and that's a
There's
tricky.
a lot of potential.
That's a tricky word. You had mentioned that at the beginning, like sort of the fundamental, like the majors right now are the majors, but maybe they aren't the majors down the line. So let's say, in the spirit of the textbook pickleball comment, 100 years from now, we'll go 50 years from now. What's on the Rushmore? If you could, again, you're still king for 50 years now. What's on the Rushmore of golf? Is it a Ryder Cup? Is it an esports version? Is it Rory and Tiger's thing? Is it Live? Is it the Masters? Like, give me your perfect world scenario of what's the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Wow. I think for me, until I continue to see other parts of experience, innovation, change, that's where I think if I back up, my Mount Rushmore is going to be about experience. That's what golf needs. Golf is just drowning in product innovation. Golf does not have experience innovation. So I think my Mount Rushmore will always have the Masters. The reason why for me is because I think they are doing the job of what viewership looks like. Let's just call a spade a spade. Golf is at its core at the professional level. Driving, parking, buying a ticket, and then having the energy to walk around, take a full time out of your day or half day to go watch what is maybe a shot a hole, maybe two shots a hole if you're lucky. What the Masters has done and what Mr. Ridley and those kind of before him has done is just a true masterpiece of what I think the future of golf experience, viewership experience should look like. And like we should really learn from that. So that has to take a seat. There's no way around it. There is an esports, and whether it's fully digital, whether it's phygital, as an example, like there will be that coming. That has to, in my mind, sit on Mount Rushmore. Personally speaking, just to keep the health of the game, I think something like the first tee is on the Mount Rushmore. We have to have a safe way for children all around the world. So my Mount Rushmore has the first tee being a fully global organization across, let's pick a number, we'll stick to the number 50 countries around the world. And the first tee is there to inspire each new generation to understand the discipline, the restraint, the integrity, and the fun that come from the game of golf. So kind of that sits on the third seat for me. And then, so if I've introduced them into the game, I've have a digital or phygital gateway into the game itself. And now I've have this masterful viewing experience. The fourth one for me would be, how do I gateway into where I think modern golf needs to go? And so I'm going to make up a concept here. I'm going to make up a 13 hole concept that is designed for golf to be played, a full round of golf to be played in 2.5 hours. So now what I've done, if I piece it all together for everybody, is I've created a world where in the 50 countries around the world, golf is introduced to every new generation in a free and kind of safe manner. I now have, as they get into it and they have interest, you now have a real high entertainment value gateway into it. But before you get to the highest levels of the game and playing 18 holes and watching, here's a short course form of 13 holes, par fives, par fours, par threes, that gets you the full on course experience in 2.5 hours. And like I'm in it for the long haul here. And so that was kind of my, I took your question at heart. I wanted to play chess when I answered that question. And so I kind of pieced together the entire ecosystem of golf in 50 years and Eric's view.
I like that you went there, and a friendly reminder also that as much as our guests wish I would hand over questions, this is a conversation. So there's no real prepping, and you're kind of doing the best you can as we banter back and forth here. The more I think about your company, and tell me if I'm off or on this. Like, this is a little behind the scenes from my lens, so you tell me if this is accurate or not. When I fly and I'm sitting where I'm sitting, if I hear the drink cart coming down and botches someone's elbow and it takes me out of whatever work I was doing or movie I was trying to watch, or it's like suddenly I recognize the process is flawed. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Here comes the drink cart, right? And the best case scenarios is we weren't delayed. The plane took off. I didn't think much at all about the flight, and anyone who's working on it, and you land and then you race to wherever you're going next. Isn't your brand a little like, it's kind of complicated because the last thing you want people to be thinking about is their grip. Like there's only really like if I start thinking about my grip, then maybe we're not, it's like the cart hitting my elbow on a flight.
Interesting. So what if I play back for you though, that at Golf Pride we see it a little bit different. So I'll take the in the old debate, I'll take the affirmative. So here's how we view it. So we spent a lot of time transforming this business, and I'll come back to the word transformation. Transforming this business from handles for your clubs to equipment for your hands. And so everything that we do is in service of your hands, and everything that we design is designed for the hands of our golfer. And if you believe that there is truth in the only part of the golf club that you touch is a golf grip, and you believe that your hands are what really are the fundamental starting point of the game itself. If you cannot, the first thing that you teach a young child coming into the game is the proper grip. So if you believe that it is a fundamental, then I would say that the grip needs to be the first thing that you think about, because that is your source of confidence in which the rest of the club system executes how it's designed. If you can't hold on to the clubs so that the club face is square, how is that 8 extra yards in the driver going to benefit you? Because it may go 8 yards farther, but it's going to go 50 yards to the right.
Oh, that sounds like my shot. That sounds like me.
And so I don't know. I don't know what's good about that. And so we are transforming the way in which people think about our equipment category, because it starts and ends with the grip itself, is the way in which we look at it. And again, it gets back to confidence. So go stand in that driver. Don't put a grip on that driver and try to swing it and take a look and see how many of those 8 yards you can really capture. you have to start with us. You have to know, and we have to help you understand what the right grip is for you, what the right size is for you. We have to understand the finger feel in which you want to have under the pads of your fingers. That now, am I biased? Yeah, sure, probably. But I think it intuitively makes sense, at least to me, that we have to be in a position to meet the golfer first and then allow them to build the rest of their club system around it.
Oh, well, hey, I appreciate you throwing in the am I biased? Of course. I try to always think about it through the lens of, in some ways I'm the grip, right? In this scenario. Like I feel like you're the club and the audience is the hands of the other golfer and I'm in between, right? And like trying to think through, if I'm the audience today, like, hey, am I tracking? Am I going too deep on golf? And I think for the golf lovers, they're so in. So let's just sort of end with, I kind of gave my 2 cents on courageous leadership, right? And I liked your comment about the 6 inches between your ears is really where the game is being played. But how do you describe it when you think about, this game has been around a long time, right? And you got two sides of it. You got people that they even are afraid to try it because of fear, or they love it and they cannot wait to just spend. They're like, no, please, no 13 holes. It's 36 holes, right? Like they're the other side of it. It's such a love story. But from the boardroom side, talk me through your courageous leadership story. Like, give me like what do you see as courageous leadership? Just defining that.
Yeah, no, good question. So I'll shape the journey that Golf Pride is in, and like why the moment that we are in, my definition and kind of why it sits really well for me for where the brand is right now. And so the brand is going through a transformation. And I think with transformation comes a significant amount of change management. And in order to really approach change management and what is required to transform a business, this is how I kind of get into my definition. There are three things. When I think about a business really taking on transformation, I'll use a brand for reference. And I think this is through the lens of how we have started to design our teams. And so we're not perfect by any means, but at least how I can speak commercially of how I want to build my teams is, first and foremost, I have to leave room on my teams for people that don't have a relationship with golf. And that goes for any category, because what these people have is they have an understanding of what great outcomes look like. They understand how to approach tension because they're meeting a game in which they don't have a relationship with. And so they understand between brand performance or whether it's, data or instinct, we don't just hire people who love golf. We hire people that view a brand as a means and not necessarily a specific kind of mission. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is, we treat in our teams, we treat the brand as a leadership system and not just a marketing asset in and of itself. So a brand isn't about kind of what you say. It's about who you hire, how you design a product, how you resolve conflict internally, how you scale good behaviors that you're looking for. Kind of it's embedded into the business model, if you will, and all of this falls into kind of the umbrella of, we've had to have the courage to kind of take these steps. The last thing that I'll give you is the most difficult, but I think it really shows the mark of a courageous leader. So the way I show up personally, myself, is I try to live by the notion of short steps, long vision. So short steps, long vision for me kind of suggests a world of kind of humility, discipline, and kind of ambition. And so, if you want to go the cliche route of looking at that, it's like, am I and my team just kind of willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? And how that shows up is, the best leaders in my mind resist the dopamine of short-term validation. We live in a world of just sheer hyper metrics. And so it's really hard now in today's data-driven world of how to play the long game. And so, my job is to help them understand that we aren't here to just spike awareness, but we're here to change mental behavior. It's about kind of calibrating new behavior through discipline and durability rather than kind of the virality of the moment. And so it rings true for me that we are here in the moment. And so we do not own the brand. We are a shepherd in this moment. And that to me kind of sets the stage for how am I showing up for the next 6 generations of golfers that are coming into the game, and not whether or not I just made the month or made the quarter. That exists. I have a team for that. But I like to build teams for the long haul. And I don't know, I think personally, like it's taken me a minute to even have that clear of a point of view. And I think there's courage in that because, I will tell you I've learned a lot of lessons on the way and mistakes along the way. And you just got to be comfortable. Got to be comfortable with that.
Eric Gibson, Chief Commercial Marketing Officer at Golf Pride. Last question. These are rapid fires. So just quick hits. I mentioned the bunny slope and the helicopter black diamond. So if I'm a bunny slope, I know golf, I haven't played, might be slightly terrified, and I want to pick up a club for the first time. What's your recommend? You want me to hit the driving range? You want me to go to Topgolf? You want me to just get out there and blunder? What's your number one?
No, I want you to go to any sort of off course. So that's Topgolf, Drive Shack, 5-iron, etc. Anywhere in which you don't have to make a decision to purchase any equipment. You need to go experience it. You need something that is not going to bring you the stress of a golf course yet. Find off course and just enjoy it. Build your enthusiasm for hitting the ball as far as you possibly can. Focus on that first.
All right. I'm a black diamond golfer. What's my one, like dream 18? Like anywhere in the world, I'm playing one. And it doesn't have to be in the US. Where are you sending me?
All right. So I'll give you a personal anecdote. The reason I'm choosing this place is because it was the first time that I had the chance to take my father overseas to play golf. And so if you go to the southwest tip of Ireland, you are going to find a majestic place called Old Head. And it is the craziest 18 holes anywhere in the world. You are playing on the cliffs 300 feet above water, and you are driving 2.5 miles out into the ocean to meet your destination at this course. And so I would encourage kind of anybody that has the means or want to have kind of experience of a lifetime, like that's where it's at for me and my father.
Send me a ticket. I will meet you there, my man.
For sure, brother.
Tell me where I'm going. Eric Gibson, thanks so much for joining me, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.